June is coming to a close, so that means it's time for another garden update, and I'm so excited to show you all the progress that has been made in the past month. So I'm out here in my Virginia Zone 7 garden, and I'm super pumped to take you around and show you what's going on out here because a lot really has changed. In last month's update, I showed you that I had gotten the tomatoes in the ground and the peppers in the ground, and things were starting to get going, but now there's a lot more happening. We've got some little peppers and little tomatoes starting to come on, so I'll show you those. Also, I've gotten some other plants in the ground, and everything has just really grown a lot. It's a lot bigger, and we're getting closer and closer to having some harvest. So let's go take a walk around and I'll show you how everything is doing. So first, actually, let's talk about some flowers. This bed might look a little wild, and that's because it is, but this is one of my zinnia beds. So you can see I've got a lot of zinnias coming up. This is a mixture of different colors, so we'll have all different kinds in here. There's also a lot of volunteer stuff coming up in here. You can see there's a lot of marigold volunteers. We had marigolds out here last year. A lot of tomato volunteers, all kind of mixed throughout this bed. I've kind of just been letting stuff go. There's also some weeds in there too, quite a bit of those. I haven't really touched much of this because I really wanted to get the zinnias established before I started pulling things. Because when plants are young, if you start pulling weeds right next to them, that can pull out the plant that you actually want to have there. So I kind of have been leaving it alone, and now that things are getting bigger, I'm going to come out here, start clearing out, figuring out, some of these marigolds, if I want to try to move them or just leave them there. The tomatoes, what I want to do with those, if I just kind of want to let them crawl and go or whatever. But I'm really, really excited because the zinnias germinated really well. You can see we have a lot of them packed in here. So we should have a nice harvest of zinnias with a lot of different colors throughout the season. And then you can also see in the back of this bed, I have one of my bean trellises. So this is the rattlesnake pole bean, and it's working its way up. I always like watching beans grow, the pole beans. I think it's so amazing just the way they kind of twist their way all the way up the trellis, but they're doing really well too, and they're starting to get taller and taller. And then this is the other bean trellis. This is a purple potted pole bean, and these are a little bit faster growing. So some of these have already even reached the top, you can see, but they're just kind of twisting their way up too. And let's see if we can find some little flowers. Yeah, so there we go. Some little flower buds there, so hopefully those will be opening up soon, and then before we know it, we should have some beans. A couple new things I got planted since you last saw the garden are these Costata Romanesco zucchini. So I started these from seed in containers outside, and then I transplanted them. This is my first year growing this variety. I'm hoping it does well. In the past, we've had a lot of problem with squash bugs, but I had found out that one of the varieties I had been growing seems to attract them more than other varieties, so I ditched that. I got this one. This is kind of like a striped light and dark colored zucchini, so hopefully we'll actually get some fruits and the squash bugs don't take over. I haven't seen any yet, so we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. I've also planted out some cucumbers, so I'm not sure which is in which bed. One of these is parade cuke, and then if you look at that bed back there, that's another row. Those might be double yield. I don't remember which I put in which, but one's parade, one's double yield. It doesn't really matter. And I'm doing this T-post kind of V-shaped trellis that I did last year. I need to put twine on it though. So the way this works is you string the twine between like these two posts and those two posts, and it creates this kind of V shape where the cucumbers grow up and then they hang on the outside. I went to put the twine in and I couldn't find my twine. I know we have it, but I don't know where it is. So I might have to go out and buy some more if I can't find it, but I need to put that in soon because they're starting to spread and I want to give them something to climb up. I've also got some of these Mexican sour gherkin cucumbers started. There's a couple plants here and one there, and I've got this tomato cage here for them to grow up, and you can see they're starting to work their way up and start to grab on and everything. These are a teeny tiny cucumber, like this big. They kind of look like mini watermelons, and they have a sour flavor. And we've grown them in the past. We really like them, so I'm excited to have some of them again this year. We also have a couple Swiss chard here. I had planted 2 rows, one right here and one back there, and none of it came up, and then randomly these two decided to make an appearance. So they're here. We haven't really eaten any of them yet, but they're doing pretty well, so I need to start picking some of this. But this was a like a rainbow chard variety, so this one's kind of a pink color, and that one's yellow. And this is the first time I've tried to grow the chard. I've had the seeds for several years, but I've just never planted them. But you know, these guys decided to join the party, so I'm excited to have them. Moving on to peppers, we have a few peppers coming on. So we have these here. This is the Ralph Thompson squash pepper. It's this kind of like flat squash shaped pepper, and it turns red and it's a little bit spicy. So we have those. I have a couple plants of those, but this one has the biggest fruit right now. Then we got more peppers over here. You can see this purple one here. This is a Buena Mulata pepper. And so it starts off this purple color. You can eat them purple, but then they kind of go through all of these color changes, yellow and pink and white and red and all this stuff. But this has a lot more flowers on it. And these, I just think the purple color is so fun. We grew these for the first time last year and liked them, so they are making an appearance again this year. And these over here are some Jimmy Nardello peppers. There's a bigger one there. There you go. You can see that. And I've got several of these in the garden. This is a pepper that will turn a red color, and it's a sweet pepper actually, but it's a long skinny pepper, and it has kind of like a roasted apple flavor. It's really sweet and really fun, and we actually grew these the first year we had our garden, and I haven't grown them in a couple years, so I decided to grow them again this year, and I'm really excited to have them again. Some of the jalapenos are also starting to put on fruit. This is the biggest one I think we have so far, but I'm starting to see kind of little pepper nubs all over the garden, and we have a lot of jalapenos planted this year, so hopefully we will have a lot of these to pick and eat. I also put some basil in. I ended up buying a few basil plants, so you can see I've got some basil here between these peppers, kind of going down this row. And then I've also interplanted some with these peppers over here, so we have some purple basil and we have some Thai basil. And like I said, these are all plants that I bought, so I got some of them at my farmer's market, I got some of them at Walmart. I usually start a lot of basil, but the basil I started, it had an issue. I tried starting it outside so I didn't have to harden it off, but then we got a big rain and the plants were too small and they just kind of drowned and died. So I got these to get us going and get us started, but I do have intentions to start some more basil, so we have a few more plants that I can put in other places in the garden. But you know, I'd planned to start it from seed. Things don't always work out, and that's one thing I hope that you get from my videos is like, yes, I do start almost everything from seed myself, and I have a really big garden, but everyone has a different situation and you just got to make it work for you. So if you want to buy all plant starts or do everything from seed or do a mixture, you know, it's just about your specific situation, the space you have, the things you like to grow, and you know, how you want to do it. And there really isn't like a right way to do it. It's just whatever's going to work for you. Now let's talk about my favorite food, the tomato. So like I said, the plants are getting big. Not a ton of fruit yet, but we do have some. So if you look over here, this is a Mexico midget plant. Let's see if we can get in here in the tomato cage. You can see there are a few little baby tomatoes back here on this truss, so they're coming on nicely. This is a very small tomato, and it's usually the first to produce for me in the garden. Then over here, this is a new variety for me this year. This is the Sun Gold. It's a hybrid variety, and I've had it before, like tasted it before, but I've never grown it. So this has some little fruits, and a lot of people say that this is the first to produce in their garden. So I am interested to see, since I'm growing the Mexico midget and the Sun Gold, which one actually gets me the first fruit. But I have a lot of these plants planted, and I'm really excited for it because I know that I already love the flavor and it's supposed to be super productive, so I'm hoping that we're going to have a lot of these little orange Sun Golds here pretty soon. And then over here, this is another new tomato for me. This is the Indigo Cherry Drops. You can see it kind of has like a purpley blue color. It's supposed to be kind of purpley blue on the shoulders and red on the bottom once it's ripe, and this again is obviously one that I'm excited for all the tomatoes, but especially new tomatoes. I'm always excited to see how they do, how they grow in my garden, and how they taste. We also have our first Black Beauty tomato coming on. These plants, I grew them for the first time last year, and what I noticed last year is they tend to put on fruit very early compared to some of the other tomatoes, but they take a long time to ripen. So even though this one has already started to put on fruit, it will still probably be a little bit longer before we have any of these to eat. But this is a really fun tomato. It's this dark purpley black color all over, and it's just really different from anything else that you can get. And it has a pretty good flavor too. It's not like my favorite in terms of flavor. It tastes great, it's fine, but the combination of something that tastes good and has such a cool look, that's just like something I have to grow because I love having things that look a little bit different from what you can find maybe at your grocery store or even your farmer's market. We also have some black cherry tomatoes coming on, just a couple very small ones right now, but this is our favorite cherry tomato that we grow in the garden. It has such a great flavor. It's the #1 choice and we always grow it. So it's exciting to see that these plants are doing well too and we're starting to get some fruit. And overall, I'm just really pleased with how things are going, because if you've been following along with my garden updates, you know we had some issues with getting plants started and the soil being bad and having to restart things and things being behind, and I was really frustrated with that whole situation. It was just really discouraging to have that happen. But you know, now to see that the plants are doing so well and things are really growing and things are happening and we're starting to get fruit, it's really, really exciting, because I love the garden. I love having especially all these tomatoes and peppers, and even though things are a little bit behind where I want them to be, they're still happening, they're still working, and I'm just happy to see that even though things didn't go exactly according to plan, it's still working out. So that's it for this month's garden update. I'd love to hear in the comments how your garden is doing, what's going on, if you're having any great successes or maybe some things that aren't working so well, share those too, because I'd love to hear about all of that. And if you happen to be new here and you want more healthy eating tips and nutrition info and videos like this one, then make sure that you subscribe, because eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle really doesn't have to be complicated, and I want to show you how to do it. And if you want to watch some more videos, I have a couple linked over here that you might like. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.